The mailbox is empty at 7 a.m., full by 4. You check it twice a day now. $11 a month, first of the month, auto pay. You didn't ask for the coverage limits. You just signed. The size of your check determines the speed of your answer. Gerald lives 3 doors down. Someone kicked in his door in February. He filed the claim on a Tuesday. He's still waiting in April. You see him in the hallway. He doesn't say much. He holds his phone face up, screen dark, like he's still expecting it to ring. He doesn't ask you for anything. He just stands there, keys in one hand, the busted door frame still splintered behind him. Nobody explains the tears. You call your insurer about a leaky pipe. Hold music. 23 minutes. A woman named Denise reads your policy number back to you like she's reading a grocery list. She says someone will follow up. Nobody follows up. $30,000 a year. You do the math on your lunch break. Rent, phone, insurance, groceries. The premium is the smallest number on the page and somehow the one you think about most. The shift. You stop thinking about insurance as protection. You start thinking about it as a queue. You don't know yet what it looks like from the front of that queue. You only know where you're standing. Behind Gerald, behind the busted door, behind everyone else who called first. You keep the receipt. You don't know why yet. The fender bender happens on a Tuesday, 3 blocks from your apartment. $1,200. That's what the deductible costs before the insurer covers anything past it. You didn't know the number until you needed it. You sit with the policy open on your lap at 11 p.m., highlighter uncapped, reading clauses you skimmed 2 years ago. Section 4B, Section 7. The words don't move, but they mean something different now. The deductible is the price of being believed. Brianna works 2 cubicles over. She got rear-ended in March. Same insurer, same policy tier. She didn't call and wait. She cited clause 12.3, cross-referenced it against the claims handbook, and had a check in 9 days. She doesn't explain any of it to you directly. She just pulls up the clause on her phone, holds it out, lets you read it yourself, then puts the phone back in her pocket. You start keeping a folder, not physical, digital, labeled, dated. Every email from the insurer goes in it now. Every call gets a timestamp. Nobody explains the tiers. The shift. You stop trusting the brochure. You start trusting the fine print. $65,000 a year now. Enough to raise the number on your policy, not enough to raise the tone of the person answering the phone. You still wait, you just wait smarter. You don't tell Brianna thank you. You just start reading the way she reads. The umbrella policy costs $23 a month, $1 million in coverage, stacked on top of everything else. You add it after a coworker gets sued over a dog bite, not his dog, his brother's, at his house, during a barbecue he didn't plan. The agent calls back within the hour now. Same questions you used to ask, different tone answering them. At this tier, insurance stops protecting your things and starts protecting your name. Your brother finds out about the policy at Thanksgiving. He laughs, asks if you're expecting to get sued by someone. He calls it paranoid, calls it overkill, says the words loud enough for the table to hear. 3 weeks later, he texts you, asks for the agent's number. He doesn't explain why. You don't ask. $140,000 a year now. The umbrella premium is $276 for the year. Less than 1 month's rent used to cost you at $30,000. You barely notice it leave your account. A year passes. No claims, no lawsuits, no dog bites near you. You open the cancellation form on your laptop, cursor sitting on the submit button. $276 for nothing, you think. A year of paying for a fire that never started. Not relief, not regret, something colder. The sense of paying for a version of yourself that almost happened and didn't. The shift. You stop buying coverage for accidents. You start buying coverage for lawsuits. Nobody explains the tiers. You close the laptop without submitting the form. You don't tell anyone you almost did. The claim gets denied on a Thursday. Water damage, second floor, spreading into the drywall before anyone catches it. The denial letter cites a clause about gradual seepage, a clause you never read, buried on page 14. $310,000 household income. You call the insurer yourself first. Same hold music, same voice reading your policy number back like a grocery list. This time the answer doesn't change no matter how many times you ask. Above a certain number, you stop paying for coverage and start paying for representation. You hire Ellis, public adjuster, 10% of whatever he recovers. He doesn't introduce himself with a handshake. He walks the property with a clipboard, photographs the waterline twice, once wide, once close, and says almost nothing to you the entire first visit. 6 weeks later, the denial reverses. $41,000, paid in full, minus his cut. Ellis doesn't call to tell you himself. The check just arrives. You find out the appeal worked from the deposit notification on your phone, not from a conversation. Nobody explains the tiers, the shift. You stop reading policies like a customer. You start reading them like a lawyer. Not triumph, not relief. The specific quiet of someone who found a second door after the first one had already been locked for 6 weeks. You start asking, quietly, what else in the policy you haven't read? You keep Ellis's card. You don't know why yet. Diane calls before anything breaks, not after. Net worth crosses $2 million, and the insurer moves you to a private client desk. A direct line, a named agent, no queue. She walks your house room by room with a tablet, not a clipboard. She stops in the hallway, looks at the painting above the console table, and asks what it's insured for. You don't know. You've never had it appraised. At the top, the insurer finds the risk before you do. She flags the gap before you finish explaining it. Values the piece out loud, $34,000, without waiting for you to guess first. Adds a rider before you ask her to. Nobody explains the tiers. You used to file the claim yourself, wait on hold, read the fine print at midnight. Now someone else reads the house for you, finds what you missed, and calls to tell you before it costs anything. You keep Ellis's card anyway. You don't throw away the folder from years ago either, the one with every time-stamped email. Some habits from a lower tier don't leave just because the tier does. The shift. You stop calling insurance when something breaks. You start reviewing it before it can. Diane doesn't ask if you're satisfied. She just schedules next year's walkthrough before she leaves. Calendar invite already sent by the time you check your phone. The renewal meeting happens in a conference room now, not over the phone. Net worth, $10 million. The insurer sits across the table with a folder of their own, negotiating terms instead of reciting them. You don't wait for this call. It comes before you think to make it. The tiers were never about coverage. They were about who gets to wait. There's a mailbox at the end of your driveway. You never check it. The gate has a delivery service that logs every parcel before it reaches the house. Nothing arrives unannounced anymore. Nothing sits in a queue with your name on it, unopened, for days. You think of Gerald sometimes, not often. Not with guilt. Guilt has a shape, and this isn't that. Just a flicker, the memory of a man standing in a hallway holding a dark phone, waiting for someone to call back. Nobody explains the tiers, the shift. You stop waiting for the mail. You start waiting for the call, which comes before you think to make it. You sign the renewal. No highlighter, no 11 p.m. reading session. Someone else already found what you would have looked for. The mailbox at the end of the driveway sits empty, the way it always does now. Not because nothing happens to you, because nothing has to sit there waiting for you to notice it first. The next video is POV. You're the first millionaire in your family's history. Subscribe. You're already in it.